Good afternoon. I'd like to welcome everyone to this meeting of the Boston Art Commission. My name is Alexandra Paul-Zotov, and I'm the Public Art Registrar in the Mayor's Office of Arts and Culture. In this capacity, I'm also the administrator of the Boston Art Commission. Let's just take a moment to update our names and pronouns, as well as make sure we are muted. In accordance with the Commonwealth of Massachusetts Executive Order suspending certain provisions of open meeting law, we are conducting this meeting virtually. As a reminder, this has been extended until 2027. To ensure public access to the deliberations of the Boston Art Commission, the public may join this meeting through telephone and video conferencing. For those of you with us today, this meeting is being recorded and closed captioning is available. You can access this at the bottom of the screen. If you're having trouble locating the button, please chat us for assistance. The Mayor's Office of Arts and Culture and the Boston Art Commission believe that public art is any artwork installed in publicly accessible spaces where they can be experienced by all for free. For transparency and community input, artworks proposed for the City of Boston property are reviewed and discussed at meetings of the Art Commission on a regular, usually monthly basis. Working together with the public art team in the Mayor's Office of Arts and Culture, the BAC is an independent board composed of 2 ex officio and 7 volunteer community members appointed by the mayor. The BAC has exclusive authority to approve and commission artworks intended to be added to the city's collection or placed on city property. The public art team in MOAC facilitates the Boston Art Commission public meetings, manages all phases, daily operations, and duties related to the public art projects cited on or proposed for the City of Boston property in collaboration with the Boston Art Commission, community members, and our colleagues at the City of Boston. And here's our team. And then we're going to come back to roll call.
I think, Paul, that we do have a quorum now.
Oh,
so we can proceed.
Fabulous. Thank you so much. Take it away, John.
Thanks, Paul, and welcome everyone. I call this public hearing to order at 4:34 p.m. Today, the Commission is holding its monthly public meeting, which are generally held on the second Tuesday of each month, and I hope you'll continue to join. At the BAC, we engage in discussions about public art in Boston in order to foster the creation and collection of artworks that reflect the people, ideas, histories, and futures of Boston, which is located on the traditional homeland of the Massachusetts people and the neighboring Wampanoag and Nipmuc peoples. We acknowledge the atrocities committed against Indigenous peoples, all of the communities that have been subsequently harmed, and the ways in which colonialism has created systemic oppression. We recognize the continuing presence of these communities and the Indigenous peoples represented in the city's residents, in addition to those in the diaspora. We also recognize that Boston exists as a result of the forced labor and economic extraction from enslaved African Americans. Now I'll take roll call of commissioners to confirm a quorum. Please, commissioners, after I say your name, say here. I begin with Vice Chair James Mason.
Here.
Caitlin Lowry.
Here.
Kenny Mascari.
Here.
Abigail Norman.
Here.
Ian Altavier will join later. And
I'm here,
Diana
actually.
Oh, Ian, great. And
Hey, John.
Diana and Nigel were unable to be here today. Hey, Ian. So we have a quorum. On this slide, you'll see today's agenda, which is also posted publicly on the city's website, boston.gov. I'd now like to take a few minutes to review the meeting minutes from last month's meeting. Are there any comments or modifications that any commissioner would like to make? Hearing none, would any commissioner like to make a motion to approve the January meeting minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve the January minutes.
Thanks, James. Do I have a second?
I can second.
Ian, I heard you. Thanks. After I say your name, Commissioner, please say yes if you agree with the motion. James?
Yes.
Caitlin?
Yes.
Kenny?
Yes.
Abigail?
I'll abstain as I was absent.
Thanks, Abigail. Ian?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. The motion passes. Now I'll pass back to Alexandra Paul-Zotov, who will highlight the presentations for public review, and Birgit Worcester, who will give the director's report.
Thanks, John. Today we have 5 presentations for review. The first is a long-term sculptural installation in the artist selection phase for Frieda Garcia Park in the Back Bay, led by Natalie Parsons from Artists for Humanity. The second project is the artist selection for the Boston Housing Authority, West Broadway Family Development and Central Warehouse in South Boston, led by the Boston Housing Authority. The third project will be Ready, Aim, Fly, a long-term installation as part of Canvas of Culture in the final design phase for Sarah Roberts Elementary School. And that is by artist Kori Thomas, led by the Mayor's Office of Arts and Culture and Street Theory. Then our fourth project is Star Gatherers, a long-term installation as part of Canvas of Culture in the final design phase at the Josiah Quincy Elementary School, led by Yuke Lee, and the proponent, Mayor's Office of Arts and Culture and Street Theory. And then our final project for deliberation would be administrative review, a policy pilot for the, the administrative review policy pilot program proposal, which is being discussed and led by Birgit Worster, City of Boston, the Mayor's Office of Arts and Culture. I'll pass it to Birgit.
Great, thank you, Paul. Current projects in installation are Emergent Memory, the Coconut Grove Memorial at Statler Park in the Back Bay, which is completed installation of structural site elements at the park. Fabrication of the memorial sculpture is in progress with an installation anticipated for later this month. Work is currently underway to compile and consolidate all required documentation for call and response, Radiating Safety by Lemercy Fraser at Engine 42 in Roxbury. The maintenance manual, material specifications, and complete project records are being gathered, reviewed, and organized in preparation for the work to be accessioned this spring. The recently installed City Hall Plaza sculpture Amulet by Ria Vedro was celebrated in mid-December, and here we have an image of some of the public art team with Ria following the ribbon cutting event at the Civic Pavilion at City Hall Plaza. We look forward to celebrating more completed public art projects this year, and we will share any upcoming event dates in future BAC meetings. For the design and fabrication projects, Tori Fair is preparing to present to the Boston Art Commission for the final design of In Full Bloom, her sculptures for Copley Square Park. Completion and approval of the final design will enable her to begin fabrication and develop a timeline for installation in the park. The public art team is determining site preparation needs and installation plans for Priscilla de Carvalho's 3 artworks at the Adam Street Branch BPL in Dorchester. The final design for this project is anticipated to be presented to the BAC this spring. A Canvas of Culture Year 2 is actively taking shape, and today you'll see presentations of 2 final designs by artist Yuke Lee and Quest 9, Kori Thomas. Subsequent artists in the program are currently implementing the student and community engagement phase for their designs. Looking ahead, we'll share final designs for 8 additional murals in Boston Public Schools for approval at the March and April BAC meetings. Through this program, 11 artists will produce new murals at 9 Boston Public Schools this spring and summer 2026. And for conservation and collections care work, Gianfranco Pocobene has performed his final inspection of the conservation of George Healy's Webster's Reply to Hayne. We look forward to reviewing the final report that outlines this monumental project and collaboration between the city and a federal agency. And this spring, we look forward to formally acquiring Yu Wenwu's artwork, We Belong. Now I'll pass it back to you, John.
Thanks so much, Birgit, and thank you, Paul. We'll now move on to items on the agenda for review, public testimony, and commission vote. You'll see here how you can participate in today's meeting. If you have technical difficulties, you can ask questions in the chat and a member of staff will help you. When public testimony is requested, you can press the raise your hand icon and we'll call on you. If you're calling in, press *9 to raise your hand. Now I pass to James.
Thank you, John. Our goal is to make this meeting a good experience for all, so community members feel comfortable sharing their feedback and questions. When you're called on, please state your name, title, program, and organization. Please keep questions and comments project specific. Be mindful of and respectful of other people's time when speaking so that other participants feel comfortable adding their comments. You can submit longer written testimony at bac@boston.gov. All written testimony will be added to commissioners' folders in advance of monthly public meetings. While you may disagree with other attendees' testimony, you may not interrupt them during their allotted time. And as a reminder, presenters should keep their time under 5 minutes.
Thanks, James. Our first project for discussion is the artist selection for a long-term sculptural installation at Frieda Garcia Park. I pass this off to Amber Torres.
Thank you. We first received a proposal for Frieda Garcia Park last year, around the time that Artists for Humanity proposed the Lubin family mural at Ronan Park in Dorchester. This park is City of Boston property, however, a portion of the premises is owned by the John Hancock Life Insurance Company. When the park was renovated in 2013, Friends of Frieda Garcia Park, Inc. was formed and entered into a maintenance agreement with the Parks Department. What also makes this project complex is that it's located over I-90, which is owned and managed by MassDOT and has its own permitting process. The preliminary design for this three-dimensional mural is still under review. Today, AFH will share more about how they were selected for this opportunity with the goal to return to the BAC to share the preliminary design at a future meeting. And I'll hand it over to Natalie. Or Patrice, or whoever would like to start.
Hi, this is Natalie. Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Amber, for the introduction. And I just wanted to first begin by introducing Patrice May, the new Executive Director of Artists for Humanity. Some of you may recognize Patrice as she served as AFH's Director of Development for quite some time, and we're thrilled to have her back in a larger capacity. I'm not sure if she's on and if she wants to say a few words, but Patrice, I'll hand it over to you.
Thank you, Natalie. Well, it's exciting to be back. As Natalie mentioned, I was development director at Artists for Humanity from 2001 until 2017. So I was in place when we did the initial or the original installation at the Frieda Garcia Park. And I know we're looking at how we can maintain it or transform it, but it was very exciting at the time at how visible it was because, and I still, every time I go down the highway and I look up and I'm like, yay, that's AFH. But thank you so much for entertaining this proposal and for welcoming us to this forum. I'm going to hand this back to Natalie. I just wanted to just be mindful of the fact that Boston Art Commission has been a partner with AFH for as long as we have been around. We've been around for 35 years, and I thank you for all of the work that you do to ensure that public art prevails.
Thanks, Patrice. We can go to the next slide. So our proposal is for a sculptural wall installation at the Frieda Garcia Park in Back Bay this spring. We're looking to refresh the existing wall installation and create something that will last for years to come, ensuring that the tribute to Frieda Garcia remains a vibrant and lasting presence in the neighborhood. Go to the next slide. Frieda Garcia Park is a small urban playground in Back Bay, primarily used by residents and families from the surrounding neighborhood. One thing worth noting is that the park itself is completely separate and fenced off from the wall where the installation will take place. So the construction installation won't disrupt the use of the playground. Some surface preparation work is also included in our scope, similar to our project in Dorchester. Before the installation goes up, we'll be patching any compromised areas and applying a fresh protective base coat where needed. This will ensure that the wall is stable and professional grade foundation, which is important for the long-term durability and presentation of the artwork. You can go to the next slide. The wall itself is owned by Boston Parks Department, and when it comes time for installation, we'll need to apply for a state highway access permit. Parks and DOT have already been notified of the project, so these relationships are established. Looking ahead, the next step on the permission side will also be working out a maintenance agreement between Friends of Frieda Garcia Park and Parks Department to ensure the installation is properly cared for long-term. Go to the next slide. Here is a look at our proposed schedule. De-installation of the existing artwork will occur at the end of April for 2 days, and installation, which includes that wall preparation, would occur the following week, May 4th through the 15th. In both instances, there will be use of power tools and ladders, and like I mentioned, we'll need the DOT permits and construction access license from parks. Community engagement aspect of this project is really at the heart of what we're doing here. What makes this special is that the young artists working on this project, who represent the very communities that Frieda Garcia served throughout her career in the South End and Roxbury. We're not just creating something for the community, we're ensuring it's created by the community. Our teens have direct participation in the design and creation process, which means the tribute will authentically reflect the values and perspectives of those who live here. Beyond the teens, our client who is commissioning the piece has reached out to the broader community through Facebook for feedback on the sculptural design. The board of Frieda Garcia selected AFH for this project, and there are a few reasons why we're the right choice. First, AFH designed, fabricated, and installed the original artwork, like Patrice had mentioned. The team knows the site. We understand the quirks, its potential, and its context within the neighborhood. The board felt strongly that AFH was the best fit to refresh the artwork, given this existing relationship and knowledge. When it comes to experience, AFH has a proven track record with public art using powder-coated aluminum. I'll show you a few examples of this, but this is the primary material that we're proposing for this installation. And above everything else, which I mentioned previously, the teen artists on this project are all Boston residents. They're familiar with the area and this park, it's part of their world. What's really meaningful about our approach is how the process itself honors Frieda Garcia's legacy. Boston area teens are actively participating in designing this sculptural tribute, and through this engagement, they're gaining hands-on experience in the creative process. This mirrors exactly what Frieda Garcia dedicated her career to: youth development, job training, and creating opportunities for underserved populations. This project doesn't just memorialize Garcia, it embodies the values she championed throughout her life. These young people are contributing their voices and creative input to something that celebrates a woman who spent her life opening doors for people just like them. Rio is our director of 3D and is an extremely talented artist. He is the lead mentor for this project. What's important to understand is how Rio is leading this project. AFH has a collaborative model where teen artists and professional mentors work shoulder to shoulder. It is not a top-down structure. Youth voices are valued equally in the creative process, and we feel this is crucial for this project. These are the 3 examples I mentioned earlier. Rio was the lead mentor actually for all 3 of these. These 3 pieces use powder-coated aluminum, the same primary material we're proposing for this installation, so there's a proven expertise with exactly what we need. The first 2 images left to right, Assembly Flowers from 2019 and Love Language from 2025, demonstrate our ability to create large-scale sculptures with real aesthetic impact. And community sculpture on the right-hand side is relevant because it was community designed, meaning that residents where the sculpture live established the theme and creative direction of this project. This shows our commitment to a collaborative process where community voices really drive our design. So to wrap up, my artist selection recommendation is grounded in a few key factors. The team already knows the site. AFH has worked there before and understands the context. The teen artists have an authentic connection to the communities Frieda served. Rio has demonstrated experience with public art installations and specific expertise in powder-coated aluminum. And perhaps most important, there's a really beautiful alignment between AFH's mentorship model and Garcia's lifelong commitment to youth employment and community development. We're not just creating a memorial, we're empowering young people in exactly the way Frieda Garcia would have wanted. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Natalie and Patrice. Really appreciate it. And I'm excited to know that you're looking at this space at Frieda Garcia Park and thinking about ways to renew it, because I think it's time, and it's exciting to see what could develop here in this very visible space off of 90. I now open it up to any commissioners who'd like to ask questions or may have a comment.
I have a comment and a question. So first, I just want to shout out and appreciate Artists for Humanity for all the wonderful work that you do and have done for so many years in Boston for youth and for the city. Congratulations on all of that. Kudos. Question about this project. In what way will visitors to the park after the renovation of the artwork or the replenishment of the artwork learn about Frieda Garcia and her legacy?
That's a great question and something that we'd love to explore further with the board of the park. There's plans to do some kind of unveiling at the end of this where we'll invite park owners and any other community members. And I'd love to use that as an opportunity to explain our process, maybe some things that the teens have learned about Frieda, and just a little bit more about our mission and Frieda's work as well.
And would you envision any element of the work that remains beyond that opening that might enlighten visitors to her story?
I think that's a fantastic idea. If the board is open to kind of expanding their scope, we would absolutely be on board with that. And maybe even through some kind of grant, we could use as an educational opportunity for park goers and to add some more context.
Thank you so much.
Natalie, thanks so much for your presentation. I did have a question. I know that the students at AFH, as well as Rayo, will be working together to collaboratively come up with the design for this. You shared those examples of previous powder-coated works and said they were sort of created in conversation with the community. I'm curious because in your presentation, you said that the design would be shared on Facebook for comment, but I think an opportunity could potentially be lost for the students to meet with the members of the neighborhood and the constituencies who will be using these parks to hear feedback or generate ideas for what this potential public art project could be. I'm curious if you've given any thought to that, of actually having the students meet with the community and see what this public process could truly be. So I'd love to know your thoughts about that.
We've done community-led engagements in a couple of different ways, and I think there's a real opportunity to integrate the teens more into being able to hear the community firsthand, so long as the community is amenable to working with the teens' schedule. I think that's a fantastic opportunity and a great way to strengthen the project. I love that.
That's great. Thanks, Natalie.
I have a comment or a question for both maybe, and following up on what John and Abigail had commented on. So in terms of creating whatever this sculptured piece is going to be, I'm wondering, you had mentioned a couple of times that this isn't a memorial, but I wonder in the context of anyone viewing what is developed, would they immediately say Frieda Garcia? So that's a question I would have, or maybe ponder for the students who are collaborating on creating this. Is that a thought that they might have in mind as well?
I know there's some painting next to the existing that kind of calls out this as Frieda Garcia. So if we keep that intact to make it a bit more obvious that this is in fact a dedication to her, I think that's possible. I don't know if any artwork, really hits the nail on the head in terms of this is what we're trying to represent. But I think to the others' points, if we want to create some more educational information surrounding the park about what we're trying to do, I think that's a great opportunity to enhance this piece.
And if I may, I'll just add that with every project that we do, there's a lot of research that the young people undertake. So so our teens will be researching Frida Garcia's life. They'll be engaging with it in that way, and that research will inform their design concepts and their discussions. And to your point, John, with the engagement with the community, having that opportunity for community discussion, that's always been part of our public art projects as long back as I can remember. I mean, I've only been involved in 25 years, but that's always been a really key element, having community voice represented in the work, and the teens having that community voice as well.
That's great to hear. Any other commissioners with questions or comments? I'll now open it up to any members of the public who might like to ask a question or make a comment.
It looks like we have a question from Allison.
Go ahead, Allison. Thanks, Paul.
Hi, Allison Poltonis. A couple of follow-up thoughts. If there was a community meeting, can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Oh,
Allison.
good, great. If there's a community process, and I'm assuming that would involve the Friends of the Park or the board, whatever their group is called, it could be on site. That would be interesting. Frieda is very much still alive, so I'm hoping that that the artists would also be potentially meeting with her as well. And then my question would be whether this has to get approved by the Park Commission too, as well as the Art Commission.
So like I mentioned, the Friends of Garcia board will have to enter into a maintenance agreement that's really formalizing the approvals that they need in terms of who will be maintaining this and working with parks in the past. There isn't a formal process like this, but so long as we have received their consent and this maintenance agreement is entered into, that's the permissions that we need from parks.
Oh, thank you.
Thanks so much for your comment and question, Allison. Any other members of the public with a question or comment? Well, hearing none, I'm curious if any commissioner would like to make a motion to approve artist selection for the long-term sculptural installation at Frida Garcia Park.
I'd like to move that we accept artist selection of Artists for Humanity for the new installation at Frida Garcia Park.
Thank you, Abigail. Do I have a second?
Yes, I'll second.
Thanks, James. After I say your name, Commissioner, say yes if you agree with the motion. James,
Yes.
Caitlin,
Yes.
Kenny,
Yes.
Abigail,
Yes.
Ian,
Yes.
and I vote yes as well. The motion passes. Natalie and Patrice, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. We really appreciate it, and we're looking forward to the next steps. Take care.
Our next project for discussion is to be determined artist selection, Boston Housing Authority Central Stores Warehouse, 44 West 7th Street in South Boston. And I am going to pass this off to Amber.
BHA and Art Lifting first submitted the proposal for the Central Stores Warehouse murals last July, when many of the fabrication, installation, and maintenance questions were still in the air. During this time, we've had time to connect with Art Lifting, learn more about their mission and process, and specifically the use of vectorization in this exterior scrim mural. This is another long-term proposal, so the preliminary design is still under review, but I'm going to hand it over to Dana, or Aaron, I believe, is presenting to share how Art Lifting got involved in this project.
Thanks, Amber. Dana will actually get us kicked off to give some more context about the project itself, and then I'll hop in about the art selection process. That is if Dana's here. Is Dana on the call?
I don't see Dana.
Okay, well, I can give as much context as I can. I'm not part of the Boston Housing Authority, but I know some of the context of this project. And when Dana hops on, he can give some more context, but maybe we can jump into how Art Lifting got involved and the selection process there. This is for the BHA Central Storage on 7th Street in South Boston. This project is a partnership between community builders, Boston Housing Authority, and Icon Architecture, who brought us into the project for the artwork selection. Paul, maybe we can hop forward and just talk a little bit about the process, and then hopefully Dana can join us for some additional context. I can speak a little bit to this of the artwork location. So we're looking at 2 locations in the building, one on the Joyce Hayes Way and the other on West 7th Street. So you'll be able to see artwork as you're going down and then around the corner. And so we have a larger section on Joyce Hayes Way and then a smaller panel on West 7th Street. And then this is an example of artwork in context. So a similar project where we worked with at South Station. You can see the original artwork here with the artist Alan Chamberlain, and then how it was scaled up, how we brought in the brighter color for that large scale exterior. And then you can also see, it's a little harder to see, but the custom signage as well. So that's where we're integrating the storytelling into the approach so that folks can learn about Alan, learn about his process, and can contextualize the mural in space, get a little bit more insight into his inspiration. Before I get into the specific artists for this project, I just wanted to briefly explain Art Lifting's approach. I think it helps contextualize how artists are selected for this project and projects like this one. So at Art Lifting, we specifically work with artists with disabilities, so folks who are historically overlooked in the traditional art market due to systemic barriers. So those could be social barriers, stigma, or assumptions about capabilities. Physically, a lot of the large scale opportunities in particular are not designed for accessibility during the installation or fabrication phases. And timelines don't always allow for flexibility or accommodations. And then financially, of course, the unpaid proposal labor that we all know of and the upfront production costs can make those opportunities prohibitive. So our goal is to mitigate those challenges so that the artist can focus on the art. And our approach for that is really long-term ongoing relationships as opposed to selecting artists for one particular project and then moving on. We really want to integrate portfolio development, coaching, logistical support, especially considering the benefits that some of our artists are using. And there's a lot more complex factors that go into that, as well as just career guidance in general. And so because of that, that ongoing method, we're able to pre-onboard the artwork and propose artists who are aligned with the project goals, while also ensuring that the process is accessible for the folks in our community. If you want to go to the next one, Paul, we can share. So we started in Boston actually with 4 artists, but we're now working with over 200 artists with disabilities. And the framework is that Art Lifting pays 55% of the profits directly to the artist, and then 1% goes to our community funds. So that's things like the grants for portfolio development, new materials, career development, and if artists are in crisis during financial strain. And then this framework in general is designed to support financial resilience over time. So recurring income, particularly for artists who may have less access to traditional workforce pathways. For the individual project, we start by meeting with the partners. So in this case, Boston Housing Authority, community builders, and we're defining scope, budget, timeline, all that stuff, as well as the goals for the experience. So what is the experience that they're hoping that folks will have when they're walking down the street, when they're in the neighborhood, and when they see this building and this artwork come to life. Then we will start with our community, propose artists from our group, sometimes specific artworks that they can then choose from. And then the team, the stakeholders that are on the client side are making that final decision. In this case, there was a tenant experience committee as well as the building ownership so that they could have multiple perspectives as a part of that selection process. We had a few different artworks to choose from some of our Boston-based artists, and then they narrowed it down to the artists that they felt were the best fit. Then, of course, finally, once the art is selected, we fabricate, we deliver, and we install. We also include contextual materials that help tell the story of the artist and the partnership. And then we like to do community activations as an option too, to engage and make it more of an experience beyond just what's on the wall. So the two artists who we're looking at for this particular project are, one is Billy McGargle. Billy was selected both by his artist strength in general, but also particularly a good fit for this project and the scale. He's an autistic artist. He uses painting as a primary form of communication, and his work is very expressive and gestural. It has a lot of energy and movement. And so those qualities can translate really well to large scale installation. He has some exhibits in the area. If you are ever around, he has some work at Massachusetts General Hospital and the Lurie Center for Autism. On the next slide, you'll see some examples of his work that kind of show that range and movement that I talked about. When you scale these up, the compositions can be maintained, which is helpful for something like a large scale scrim installation, you know, when you're viewing it from a distance, or close up and across changing light conditions. Our next artist is Lisa Murphy. So she was selected for complementary reasons. She's a Boston-based artist. Her work explores identity and emotional experience. Her work is also deeply rooted in community and place, which felt meaningful for this site. And it plays an important part in her mental health journey. She brings a lot of intention and reflection to her work. And additionally, from a selection perspective, she has experience with engaging audiences as a facilitator and as an educator. If you look at her collection, you'll see some examples of really strong color language, a lot more graphic in this collection. Her imagery is very bold, but it's also very emotionally resonant. So we think that translates really well at that architectural scale, but also is still meaningful with closer viewing. And then the storytelling component of that can be really powerful. On the next slide, you'll see she's also, like I said, a skilled facilitator and educator. She's led large-scale workshops, both virtually and in person, tied to her work. So taking from her own practice and helping folks to connect to their own sense of expression around identity and making. Typically mixed media and collage is what she centers those around. And that's it. I don't know if Dana hopped on. I apologize if I'm not able to answer questions from the BHA perspective. Hopefully, I'll send him a little message and see maybe he had trouble accessing the Zoom. Sorry about that.
In the meantime, thank you for your presentation. And I'm going to open it up to commissioners, but please let us know if Dana pops in for him to make a statement. Commissioners, does anyone have a comment or a question about this they'd like to ask at this time?
I do have a question. Can you explain once again, and perhaps I just missed it, how the three different artists interact? Will you plan to have them interact with this space?
So there's two artists for this particular project, and there's two sites where we're planning to have their artwork. So the idea is that the larger will be Billy McGargle's work, since that really translates to even more large scale, and just the nature of his work being more abstract, it's easier to put in that kind of horizontal display. And then Lisa's work being for the other location, because her work is composed more singularly.
Thank you.
Yeah, just those two.
Yep, I should have caught that. Thanks.
No. Thank you for the question.
Any other commissioners? Just jump right in.
Aaron, I just wanted to sort of thank you for the presentation and for what you've brought to this process and the incorporation of art lifting into this project. And I'm excited to see the sort of conversation between the two artists' work at these different locations. I think they're extraordinarily complementary, and I'm really excited to see what they come up with.
Hi, Aaron. Kenny here. Quick question. I think you mentioned a catalog of a pre-approved artwork that clients get to go through. Can you tell us a little bit more about that catalog, how often it's updated, and how clients usually interact with what they see and how that works with the artist selection?
Yeah. So as a part of onboarding, our artists will usually we'll kind of go through their entire portfolio and pull out the works that we want to incorporate into the larger collection. But that's an ongoing process as well. So quarterly, we also have additional submissions because obviously artworks change, the artists' careers are growing, their methods are growing. And so we'll onboard new artworks every quarter. And then sometimes we'll also do commissioned pieces as well that are site specific. So it depends on the client, depends on the project, whether it's more helpful to draw from the existing collection. We have about 6,000 or so artworks total that are within that group, or whether we want to create something new. Some artists are open to commission and others aren't. It also depends on their practice and their process. And then typically the way it works is once we have kind of the parameters for the project, we will create a custom proposal that outlines recommendations from the collection or artist recommendations to start. And we'll say, okay, here's the artist that we think could be the good fit. Here's examples from their portfolio. Exactly like you were speaking to, John, the complementary nature of Billy's work and then Lisa's work. And then the client will take a look at those and choose from within that catalog. And so there's certain works that translate better than others. We try to help guide that process as well, because some things might scale better. Some things might, the ratios of it might work better in one form or another. So we just kind of help guide that process along with the client to make sure that it also stays true to the artist's vision. I hope that answered your question.
Aaron, so following up on that, and I might have missed it. So the proposed art, is it within the images that we've seen of what they've already done, as opposed to creating art for the specific project?
Yes, in this case, the idea is to pull from the existing collection and scale those up to be the construction scrim mural so that it can also be changed out in a few years if they want to update and showcase a different artist's work. But these would be from the existing collection. And that's also part of the selection process in choosing Billy and Lisa's work, is that they have options that can scale successfully.
I will open this up to the general public if they have any questions or comments, if I have no further comments from commissioners. I don't see a hand. So I'm going to go back to see if there's a commissioner who wishes to make a motion to, what is this motion going to be? About the artist selection piece of this.
James, I can make a motion to approve the artist selection at the Boston Housing Authority Central Stores warehouse.
Thank you, John. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. So when I call your name, please say yes or no. John.
Yes.
Ian.
Yes.
Diana.
She's not here.
That's a
for dinner.
and no Nigel. Caitlin.
Yes.
Kenny.
Yes.
Abigail.
Yes.
I thought I heard somebody else chiming in, and I'm a yes as well. So the motion carries. Thanks so much, and I look forward to see what you finally decide to put on the wall.
Thank you so much, everyone, and thank you for all the help during this process. It was great, and looking forward to next steps.
Thanks so much, Aaron. Our next project for discussion is Star Gatherers by Yuke Lee at Josiah Quincy Elementary School. And I'll pass this to Amanda for introductions.
Thank you, John. A Canvas of Culture, now in its second year, has been a powerful mural program across Boston public schools. The work has been spearheaded by Liza Quinones of Street Theory, whose leadership has guided community engagement, artist development, and the full arc of each project, from design through installation. As we near the end of this contract in late March, we want to thank Liza for bringing these next projects you'll hear about to the finish line, and for the chance to collaborate with such incredible artists and school partners. And now I'll pass it over to Liza, who will introduce the next two artists we'll hear from today.
Thanks for the intro, Amanda, and good evening, commissioners. I'm excited to be back before the BAC to introduce the artist and final design for the Josiah Quincy Elementary School. JQES is a historic school established in the mid-1800s and Boston's first to offer the International Baccalaureate Primary Years program with a strong emphasis on global citizenship and community. As a brief refresher, Yuke's work is characterized by dynamic compositions, expressive forms, and a vibrant use of color. Her practice spans multiple public art mediums and is especially well suited to transforming shared spaces into engaging environments for young audiences. I will now turn it over to Yuke to present her engagement and design process, along with the final design for a multi-wall panoramic mural at the Josiah Quincy lower play deck that you see here.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Liza, for introducing me. Let me share my screen first. Oh, sorry. Should I share my screen?
No, we have your presentation and
Got it.
Paul will move it forward.
Got it. Well, thank you for having me. And so I have 5 years of mural experience, and I did one at Boston City Hall. So I'm very excited about this one because I did several murals for youth and schools. Would you please go to the next slide? So before the design, we already did like one public engagement and as mural surveys. So my design is based on the survey. So the design has like 41 participants, and based on the feedback, most of the participants wanted the theme is about park and nature and the school core value. And would you please go to the next slide? So we have the second engagement, which is doing an installation. I'll put up a form for Liza and school to send out, and anyone is interested that can participate in this installation. And so just to foster a stronger sense of connection and ownership in the community. So the third engagement is optional. After the mural is finished, I'm thinking of having a workshop or like ceremony at the lower deck of the school. Well, it's also depending on the school schedule. Please, would you please go to the next slide? So let's talk about the design. So the name is Star Gatherer. My main idea is about explore. The Star Gatherer explore a theme of discovery. The main color of this mural series are yellow, orange, and blue, which are representative of the school. And the mural depicts children's exploring hobbies, nature, science, and their sense of home and themselves, making friends along the way, learning and growing through the shared journey. The design also waves in Josiah Quincy Elementary School's core value of focus, which is integrity, respect, and empathy. Together, all elements will transfer the lower deck into a welcome space where students can gather friends, playing sports, and stay active. Would you please go to the next slide? So this is Ward A. It's about nature, homeland, and culture. So I put Boston City landmark into the imaginary garden with dragon symbolize the Chinese culture. This is a picture, this is a mock-up picture. You can see I use the yellow that from the previous, the upper deck mural. So we make these two mural like goes well together. And would you please go to next slide? So this wall is kind of connecting Ward A and Ward C. It's about exploring time, space, and future. Here's a mock-up. Would you please go to the next slide? So I think Ward C, excuse me, Ward C, the second main wall is about universe, hobby, and friendship. And the next slide is the mock-up of the mural. So I made two options for this wall. So this option is like two walls that are facing the lower deck. The option B is including these two walls and the other two small walls facing the planter. And would you please go to the next slide? So the other four walls is like very lower wall along the deck. This one is about music, and I put a lot of music elements in it. And the next slide is the mock-up. Ward E is about knowledge. I put the music at the base and the cellar at the beginnings and transfer to knowledge and sports. Here's a mock-up. And the next one is about sports, because this area is where the students like playing soccer in this area. So I put most of the sports element on this wall. And next wall is at the back. So it's comparatively simple. It's kind of like connecting Ward F and Ward H. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. So Ward H, I put the school's core value in this wall, and the focus is the four value, and that's it. Thank you. So I'll choose the most the best color for the project. And next, please. So I find this maintenance on internet, but I think the mainly is the visual inspection for gravity and surface damage. And next slide, please. I have talked about the installation, the before installation part with school, and I think they can take care of the planner and the surface, and there's no problem with this part. Next slide, please. So the installation plan is approximately like 20 days, and I plan to start it in the middle of the May. And according to previous weather report, I think this is the best time. I will have like about 3 to 5 assistants with me, and each assistant will guide like one volunteer. So the volunteer don't need experience, and they will know what to do. And here's a plan. And if everything goes well, I think we can finish it in 2 weeks. That's it. Thank you very much.
Thanks so much, Yuki. And Liza, thank you again for the introduction. I now open it up to commissioners with questions or comments.
I don't have a question. I just want to comment on how much work that is and how much art that is and how many walls there are. And I'm impressed in how they're all connecting.
Thank you.
And I'll just add a note of appreciation for tying into the existing murals that will share the same visual space.
Thank you.
Yeah, Abigail, I agree. And I'm also excited to see the sort of different themes you've incorporated into each of those panels. There's a lot to discover for the kids as they sort of spend time with this mural, and the dynamism that you've incorporated is really exciting. So thanks, Yuki.
Thank you very much.
Any other commissioner questions or comments? I'd like to open it up to members of the public if they have any questions or comments.
Actually, I'd just like to make another note of appreciation in general, that as a person who moves through the city of Boston, this space of Josiah Quincy and this space of the Frieda Garcia Park tied together visually as you pass through that section of Boston. And it's delightful to see that both are being renewed, and I'm looking forward to seeing how they manifest together in the end.
That's a great point, Abigail. Hearing no comments or questions from the public, I'm curious if any commissioner would like to make a motion to approve.
I would like to make a motion to approve final designs for Star Gatherers at the Josiah Quincy Elementary School.
Thanks so much, Kenny. Do I have a second?
I second.
Ian, you got that one? I'm going to give it to Abigail this time. Commissioners, after I say your name, please say yes if you agree with the motion. James?
Yes.
Caitlin?
Yes.
Kenny?
Yes.
Abigail?
Yes.
Ian?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. Yuki, congratulations. Really excited to see this realized in May, in the coming months.
Thank you. I'm looking forward to it.
As are we.
So John, I'll take this next one.
Perfect.
Our next project for discussion is the final design for the new mural for Kori Thomas at Sarah Roberts Elementary School. I'll hand it over to Amanda for background on the full scope of the murals at this school and introductions.
Thank you. We can go to the next slide for an overview visual. Thank you. The Sarah Roberts Elementary School was formed by merging the John D. Philbrick and Charles Sumner Elementary Schools into a single campus in Roslindale, which reopened in 2025 after a full renovation. Named for Sarah C. Roberts, whose 1840s court case challenged segregated schooling. The school holds deep significance in Boston's history of desegregation and educational equity. In celebrating the school's reopening and this legacy, a campus of culture has focused 6 new murals on this site. Building on last year's 4 hand-painted works, 2 additional design-only installations are to be realized this year as mosaic and vinyl artworks by Kori Thomas. And now I'll pass it on to Liza and Kori.
Thank you so much, Amanda. I will let Kori begin, and then I will jump back in on fabrication and maintenance. Over to you, Kori.
Great. Hello, guys. I'm hoping that everyone can hear me well. So as you see on the first slide here, you can see there's 3 images. That's actually from part of our student engagement sessions that we did. We can go to the next slide. So a little bit about myself. My name is Kori Thomas. I'm known as the artist Quest 9. I am based in New England, primarily in Lowell, Massachusetts. I'm a teaching artist, placemaker who uses public art as a tool for storytelling. I build creative communities, equity in local businesses, and I aim to strengthen the creative economy. As the founder of Art City, I bring emerging and established artists together through murals, mentorship, workshops, and community-centered projects and events. This is kind of a little bit about me and where my purpose lies in the public art scene, I suppose. But I also dive deep in youth arts, identity building, self-expression, mental health awareness, and those sort of things. So next slide. So with this project, there are 3 locations. Mosaic wall A and B you see on the left is a corner. Both of these walls meet in a corner. It's across the hall from the library, and it's right around the corner from the main entrance. It's really vibrant area, and it will be in collaboration with Artaic Design Studio, which is based in the Boston area, where the mural that I design will be transformed into a mosaic mural with tiles, etc. Cafeteria wall A, as you walk into the cafeteria, is on the left-hand side, and cafeteria wall B is across the cafeteria to the right. And next. Before you see the design, I'll give you a little bit of information about the narrative. The mosaic mural welcomes students with the theme of energy, imagination, and perseverance through bold color movement with culturally used patterns, rounded shapes, and pops of bright color. It inspires students with a feeling of lightness and hope, reinforcing creativity as a tool for resilience, identity, and confidence. The words "I believe in myself" and "dream," which are actually written by Sarah Roberts students, are featured on the paper airplane in flight. You know, that feeling of lightness with the paper airplane flying is really where I was aiming to inspire the students. The theme is continued in the cafeteria walls A and B. As they are on opposite side of the rooms, they follow a similar color palette. The artwork of the students and progress of folding and working with one another after failure to build a better future. You can see the paper airplanes in motion and with inspiring quotes, again, written in both English and Spanish by the students of Sarah Roberts. I think it's very important to recognize that this is going to be a bilingual school over the next 4 or 5 years. So they're starting with their students in kindergarten and in preschool as of this year, and throughout the time they're going to be teaching in both Spanish and English, which is a large part of the different designs that I've included in the murals. It follows students folding the plane, which is significant in like building the systems and setting intentions for taking aim and taking risks, excuse me, and taking action and learning through trial and error. Each of the airplane's journeys remind students and all of us as a part of growth to try again. And next. The student engagement was really incredible. The first one, we had the students drawing and doing different designs of what they would want to see for the mural. A lot of them said a lot of the same things. So there was a couple different designs that we ended up creating in the beginning process, but then towards the end kind of all pulled together with the students in the second. Well, I'll say this as well. We worked with the students in the different schools before Sarah Roberts was through construction. And that's where we did a lot of the drawing. And then the second session is in the final something with paper airplanes. So I had the students write their dreams and goals and strengths and different things that they loved and colors on these paper airplanes. Kind of taught them a little bit of how to fold it, but really had them try it on their own. And they were throwing them and they were going all over the place, crashing on the ground, and they would try again. So it was a really fun experience for them, as well as they kind of got the point. They're like, yeah, it means try again, and just keep trying and adjusting. So that was the really great experience, and I'd love to do that again with them after the murals are installed. So we'll go to the next slide, where you can see some of the designs. So this would be the corner mosaic piece. I really chose a lot of bright and vibrant colors for this without a lot of fading. I knew with the different tile panels and the little tiles that they were going to use, these how would I describe this? These different patterns will look really great using the different tiles. So I left everything very color blocked. This mural weaves together 6 abstract patterns and styles inspired by African and Ghanaian kente cloth, Haitian, Dominican, and Puerto Rican Taino indigenous drawings, which you'll see in the clouds above the boy. The Ghanaian kente cloth symbols are going throughout, which looks like the waves, but it also follows the flight path of the paper airplane as well. There is Southeast Asian and Japanese culture through the wave-like shapes at the bottom of the design on wall A, which is right by the boy. Let's see, rather than representing any one cultural literally, the patterns are just simplified and blended to reflect the shared values in these traditions as resilience, movement, growth, and community. A lot of these designs also represent resilience and protection, which I think is a really important thing to note in the times that we are living in right now. Integrated into the motion of the paper airplanes, the designs celebrate diverse backgrounds of the school community while reinforcing the message that learning, trying, and trying again is a universal journey that we all share. I think it's really, I don't know, it's really important that the students that got to experience the student engagement, they see their handwriting on the wall. That's really beautiful. But that was another thing that we discussed as the discussion went on, is do we make the handwriting look more legible or not? So you can go to the next slide. As I said earlier, the words and the letters that you see on here are actually taken from the paper airplanes, and the different planes that are featured on the top of the design are planes that the children made themselves. So that's kind of just just showing that. Excuse me, I'm a little nervous. Yeah, so that's that. We'll go to the next slide. So the cafeteria walls are following the same theme. To the left of the cafeteria, you'll see the hands folding the paper airplane. And to the right, you'll see the hands preparing and taking aim to throw the airplanes, and a lot of airplanes in motion. So I'll give you a little bit of information on these walls. While one is positioned on the left side of the cafeteria, obviously, and the adjacents on the right side about 200 feet away. The murals picture a student folding or fixing the airplane alongside many failed attempts. Originally, this design had some crumpled up airplanes to the left, but it being in the cafeteria, we're like, oh, it kind of looks like trash. So we took those out, and I still think that the message comes across in this mural, especially where if you look closely at that design, you'll also see a lot of different words on these planes as well. So Yeah, let's see. On the planes, on the crumpled paper were the words believe, crean ti mismo, musica, dream, sueño, don't give up and fly. These are just some of the writings from the students at Sarah Roberts. Also, these tie into the murals that are located on the outside of the building in like the playground area. I think it kind of ties together the theme of like dreaming, don't give up, fly, and believe in yourself. All things that were discussed in other murals in the school. If you look closely, you see patterns from many cultures. The Mexican serape, which is also considered the canvas of culture, a fabric of culture of Mexico. Each line representing a different story of your ancestors and community. African mudcloth known as the Bogolafini, and the Chinese Shengyun cloud band or chi motif, and the Native American beadwork to the right on the first wall one, which is the student folding the airplanes. You can go to the next one. These are just some of the designs that I pulled from on the left-hand side. As you can see, from the right to the left, it's the Mexican serape, the Shengyun, not Mexican beadwork, excuse me, Native American beadwork, as well as the mudcloth. On the, sorry, on the longer mural, you can also see different words on all of the different planes, which I think would be really great for the students. From a distance, you can't see that, but as you get closer, it's something that pulls you in, so they can read up this. And I'll tap Isa for the maintenance and fabrication.
Thank you so much for going through all of your engagement and process through design, Kori. Really appreciate it. So as my colleagues have mentioned, we've commissioned Kori on a design-only scope with the intention of the fabrication and installation being overseen and executed through the Mayor's Office of Arts and Culture. And so with these projects, we are looking at creating the first artwork that you saw as a tile mural mosaic within the corridor, and the second mural that we reviewed as a vinyl application in the cafeteria. We recognize that both of these spaces are areas that are going to be highly utilized by the school and students and surrounding community. And so it was important for us to really think about implementing an installation that would be durable through the high utilization and over a longer period of time. I think it's really interesting for the department to also expand the different mediums that we're using for public art, particularly with long-term maintenance in mind. Next slide, please. So on this slide, you'll see a rendering that was created by Artaic. Artaic is the tile fabricator who will be creating the mural mosaic. And so the Artaic is a fabricator that's based locally in Charlestown. This is not a digitally printed mural. Instead, the artwork is physically constructed using 1/2-inch vitreous glass tiles, where each tile functions like a pixel in the overall image. Artaic translates the final artwork into a precise digital map, which guides their robotic systems to assemble thousands of individual glass tiles into mosaic sheets with accuracy and consistency. These sheets are then installed on site, grouted and sealed, creating a permanent artwork that's fully integrated into the building. Unlike printed or surface applied murals, The mosaic will not peel, fade, or delaminate over time. And from a facility standpoint, the vitreous glass is extremely durable, non-porous, and easy to maintain using standard custodial cleaning, making it well suited for a high-use school environment. On this slide are samples of Artaic's previous work. In addition to this, the cafeteria murals, like we mentioned, will be fabricated using a high-quality 3M architectural vinyl, which is printed off-site and professionally installed directly onto wall surfaces. This material is commonly used in schools and public buildings due to its durability and consistency and clean finish. The vinyl application is a process that we've done in several sites. And we are looking to continue that process, for it allows us to execute a visually impactful installation while remaining flexible, low maintenance, and appropriate for active environments. And thank you very much on behalf of me and Kori.
Thank you.
And thank you. Commissioners, does anyone have a comment or a question at this time?
Could I jump in with a quick question about the mosaic? I'm fascinated by this. I guess it's really a digital process. And it seems like it produces kind of larger tiles that you then tile onto the wall. Is that right? So, or maybe I'm wrong.
So Kori's process is a digital process in the creation of the artwork file itself. And then that digital artwork is then given to Artaic to create a digital map. It's not a large piece of tile that's broken down, and it's not printed tile.
Yeah.
So what it's actually a they are half-inch tiles that get placed on
Larger panels, right?
12 by 12 sheets.
Got it. Yeah.
So like when you go to Home Depot and
Yeah.
and they sell the sheets of tile,
Yeah.
it's placed on webbing in that same kind of way, and then they map it out so that when you go into install, you really piece it together.
You
like
grid it and then it's all together. That's super
Correct.
cool.
Yeah.
Thanks for that clarification. And it all looks fantastic from my point of view. Beautiful, colorful, impactful. So thanks.
You're welcome.
Any other commissioners? Just jump right in.
Kori, I do have a question for you. The mosaic pieces, they're so beautiful, and I think, as Ian and Liza were describing, like a really interesting and unique way to add a different type of medium to the collection and to incorporate it into the schools. For the cafeteria vinyl pieces, I love the incorporation of the paper airplanes and even the fact that you can see the hands creating and shaping those. But I did have an aesthetic question. It may just be me. I'm one among many. I did have a reaction to the green hand. And I'm just curious, because it's disembodied, if you could talk through a bit about why you chose that particular color for the hand, or if just here in this rendering, it looks slightly different than it might when it's actually printed and designed.
Yes, it's the same. It's a similar color as that first one that you're seeing on the screen now. It's a lime green color. I typically use colors instead of skin tones for any portrait that I do use. It's a style choice. People that experience murals to be able to see themselves in the mural, regardless of their skin color. So it really is that just an imagination piece of, it could be anybody's hand. Whereas a lot of times you'll see different murals where it's like a student of color, or it's a white student, or it's whatever it may be. It kind of it takes that question out of existence there, where it's like it could be anyone. And it's the same with the boy on the first page. It's I want everyone to feel included in the murals. So it's just kind of a color that is an opposite color of the background, essentially, and still ties together all of the mural color aspects from the others.
Thanks, Kori.
Mhm.
I do have a question, and maybe it's only a concern of mine. In the context of it being a high school, there's no worry about the vinyl being fire retardant or anything, or is it inherently so, or does it matter because it's adhered to the wall?
Like,
I think that's a me question. Um, I think that what we would ensure in the process of vetting the vendors and the materiality is to, ask all the questions and ensuring that, it is fire retardant.
Also, isn't it an elementary school, not a high
It's an
school?
elementary school. Yeah. I mean, either way, regardless of the grade levels, we would want to ensure that immateriality is appropriate for the space.
Are there any further comments from commissioners? Okay, John. Then I'll open it up to the general public if they might have any comments or questions. Okay, general public. So I will go back to see if there are any commissioners who wish to make a motion on this long-term installation as part of the Canvas of Culture final design. Any commissioner?
I'd like to make a motion to accept the final designs.
Thank you, Kenny. Is there a second?
I can second.
Thank you, Ian. When I call your name, please say yes or no. John,
Yes.
Ian,
Yes.
Caitlin,
Yes.
Kenny,
Yes.
Abigail,
Yes.
and I am a yes as well. I'm really so excited to see those mosaics come to life. So congratulations on moving forward with this.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, commissioners.
Thanks, Kori, and congratulations, and thank you, Liza. Our last item for discussion is, let me see if I can say this, an administered review for a policy pilot program proposal. And I'll pass to Birgit to introduce.
Thank you, Jen. It's a tongue twister title. We now share a proposal for an administrative review pilot program to be implemented for 1 year with a midpoint review after 6 months. The full proposal document can be found in this month's meeting folder. Projects that are eligible for administrative review are temporary in duration, aligned with policy, and procedurally straightforward. Any project outside of these parameters or raising questions of precedent or significance must be reviewed at a public BAC meeting. We designed this process in order to focus commission deliberation on long-term works or projects that hold major civic significance, and to increase efficiency for routine, reversible, recurring, or strategic interventions, tactical urbanism projects, etc., while still maintaining transparency through consistent reporting back to the commission and public in accordance with public meeting law. Next slide. The purpose of the proposed administrative review is to establish criteria and procedures for MOAC staff on behalf of the BAC to review certain projects without requiring a presentation during a BAC meeting. Its intent is to allow expedited deliberation for routine, recurring, and temporary projects while maintaining the Commission's authority and the process for public record. Commissioners retain the authority to override the recommendations of administrative review. The pilot implementation will operate as illustrated here in this slide. The duration of this policy would be implemented as a 12-month pilot program. There would be a 6-month interim review and full evaluation at 12 months. We'd look at the number of projects reviewed under administrative review versus the full presentation BAC reviews, the average processing time for MOAC staff to review these projects and work with constituents, and the commissioner staff and community feedback. At the conclusion of the pilot, the commission will determine whether to adopt administrative review as a permanent policy, amend it, or discontinue the use. I'll pass
Thanks
it
so
back to
much,
commissioners.
Birgit. Yeah,
Sure.
for sure. Commissioners, I'm curious, you may have questions, concerns, statements you'd like to include here, but I think to start, I'm curious, Birgit, as you and your team sort of put this together, if there were any projects looking back and thinking historically that you feel fall into this category to share with commissioners so they better understand sort of what kinds of projects you're looking that could fall under administrative review with staff.
Sure. Yeah, I think there are projects that come to or propose to the city annually. Many of them, multiple projects that have used things like the photo cube structure for implementation that we see and have sort of approved that as an installation process and format. And then there are other projects that come sort of curatorially developed and on city property, but like winter active, which we just saw recently, that might be more better served to just go through the same processes we use for review. All of these projects would go through the same review process we use for those that come to full presentation. And then the intent would be to bring the staff reviewed projects to the BAC to be voted on as approved through via staff review. So you'd still see them in the public process and have that oversight without the extended presentation and deliberation where maybe we could use that time towards as like the longer term projects, more conversation.
I think that sounds very smart and a good
Thank
use
you.
of time. I do. I mean, I think it also is, maybe if we do decide to move forward with this, it's also a testament to our trust in a very talented staff that is involved with already a review of these projects, right? So I'm all for it.
That's great. Thanks, Ian.
Any other commissioners with questions or comments?
Yep, I have a question. What's our process for the midpoint review of the pilot period?
I think we would look at how many projects have been reviewed through this process, the impact on the time for staff. I think the time investment that would sort of be removed through this process is the time spent working with proponents to develop their individual presentations. All of our review process requirements that we use for every project would still be consistent. So we just kind of look at where the time and investment changes. And then just checking in with commissioners and getting feedback on how it is impacting the meetings and the process for review.
Thanks, Birgit. And to follow up on what Kenny said, that then 6-month period, that review period, you would bring that to a BAC meeting to go through all of these statistics you compiled. And then we would have an opportunity to sort of weigh on how we think the process is going. And would it be possible for any changes to be made at that time in that discussion?
Yes, I think we could adjust at that point. That 6 months would be, into the fall. The spring and summer tend to be a highly active time for publicly proposed projects. So I think we'd have an opportunity to see how this impacts the flow through an especially busy time and then revisit in the fall. So that would be an opportunity to weigh in on how it's functioning.
I'll just say I appreciate the careful proposal, given that it's been clear on some of these, like the street events and so on, that the city really does need time to move forward without having to wait for or would benefit from having the ease to move forward without having to wait for a commission meeting. So I think it's a good solution.
Great, thanks, Abigail.
Before I move on to public, I just want to make sure that any commissioners have had their questions answered, or if they'd like to make their comments known. Okay, I now open it up to any members of the public who'd like to ask a question or make a comment. Well, hearing none, why don't I make the motion to approve the policy pilot program proposed by the Mayor's Office of Arts and Culture. And I'm curious if any commissioner would like to second.
John, I would like to second, but are we clear on if we vote yes, when it's effective?
I believe we can. I'm sorry, go ahead, Jack.
I believe it's effective when we vote on it. Am I correct, Birgit?
Correct. That's my understanding as well. That it will begin. So we would be implementing this for the March BAC meeting.
Splendid. I'm a second.
Thanks, James. Commissioners, after I say your name, please say yes if you agree with the motion. James?
Yes.
Caitlin?
Yes.
Kenny?
Yes.
Abigail?
Yes.
Ian?
Yes.
And I'm a yes as well. On behalf of everyone on the commission, I just would really like to thank you, Birgit, and Paul, and everyone from the Mayor's Office of Arts and Culture who's worked on this to put it together. I know you've been working diligently and looking at the best way to bring this forward to the commission. And I know there's been many, many conversations over a long period of time to get this to this point. So I really appreciate it. And I'm really excited to see how this pans out, and that this 1-year pilot program, I think, can help us fine tune and adjust any details that we need to within this pilot program. So much appreciation from me for all of the work you've done.
Thank you so much, John, and thanks for your trust in moving this forward. I think it will be impactful.
So our final order of business today is adjournment. Would any commissioner like to make a motion to adjourn?
Actually, John, if I could just raise a thought before we.
Oh yeah, of course, Abigail, sure.
So I understand that Canvas of Culture is in its 2nd year and has an endpoint. Is that correct?
Yeah, well, it does. Right now, Street 3 contract comes to a conclusion at the end of March. Our team internally, with now Amanda joining as a project manager and having that additional capacity, is going to be shepherding those projects through that are a part of the Canvas of Culture program. And then we anticipate those being installed by late summer, early fall at the latest.
So by the time that this 2-year period is done, the schools and schools of Boston, and I think some libraries also, will have a really impressive array of murals by artists from all over the country and even outside the country. Really, really beautiful. Hidden from most people's sight. Some of them are outdoors, of course, but some of them are indoors. And I'd just like to throw on the table the idea of some kind of self-guided tour map or something that people can, I know people can't go into schools, but just a thought, like, how can Boston boast about these murals and allow people to see them? And I'll just drop that right there on the table, not for discussion right now, but just to think about for the future.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Abigail. And I think we will have, we have a much great documentation of the installation and photos of these projects that will ultimately live on our project pages on the website. And there's also a public art map that will map these out. But I think we can also kind of uplift these through other channels as well as we look at the program holistically.
Yeah, and yeah, great, thank you.
Thank you.
And with that, I'll make an motion to adjourn.
That was a nice suggestion, Abigail.
Thanks.
James, do you want to come in second? You were
Yes, I was going to start by saying I
beaten
would
to
be
the punch.
delighted to make that motion, but I'm delighted to make the second motion. Yes.
Thanks, Abigail and James. After I say your name, commissioners, please say yes if you agree to adjourn. James,
Oh, yes.
Caitlin,
Yes.
Kenny,
Yes.
Abigail,
Yes.
Ian,
Yes.
and I agree as well. Commissioners, thank you so much. MOAC staff, so appreciate all of the work that you put into these presentations and the work you do generally. And for any members of the public that are still here, thank you for being here. And I hope you'll join us again. Have a good night, everyone.
Thank you, Anthony.